If you are not manifesting everything you want, maybe it's time to go back to the basics and check out what your affirmations really are because they are more powerful than you think. And today, I'm going to break down the anatomy of an affirmation for you. Welcome back to Universal Laws with Christy Sturdivant. We are continuing on with raising our vibration by looking at the mental aspect. I think the mental aspect of the law of vibration or raising our vibration is kind of one of the most fun and challenging and easy ways to raise your vibration. Our thoughts make up so much of our reality because we are habitual creatures. Humans are habitual creatures. We have discussed this before. We like to find our groove, stick in it, not move, and it shapes our beliefs. So, the first thing we have to do when we are looking at our mental awareness, vibration, raising it, is we have to look at what are we believing. And when we start questioning what we are believing, then we can kind of become aware of those individual thoughts, stop the pattern of these individual thoughts, and then shift them into something that we actually want. There have been many, many scientific studies out there discussing how powerful the thoughts we have shape our reality. They have done MRI scans on the brain saying this is what happens here when you have positive thoughts and self-confidence and positive affirmations. Huge, huge study. Our brains recently have been, we've been told that they are neuroplastic. Neuroplastic? Our brains are able to shift and change our thought patterns via neuroplasticity. And it's an amazing scientific breakthrough that absolutely confirms the power of our thinking and how we manifest or co-create our life. So if you have never believed in the power of affirmations, well, just go out and do a little bit of research on the science behind it, and you can just get a foundation of how easy it is to raise your vibrations via your thoughts. And we do that by affirmations. Now, I will admit that very early on, I was like, affirmations seem kind of crazy. They don't seem to work. And I guess I'll say them, but that was my number one pitfall when I was thinking about affirmations and thinking about shifting my vibration, because you have to believe what you are telling yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to ever manifest what you want. But you have to shift your, I guess maybe overarching goal to kind of pull it in so that it is a little bit closer to your current reality so that you can believe what you're saying and actually start moving ahead. So today I want to talk about how people are doing affirmations wrong. Basically, I'm going to talk about how we are all doing affirmations incorrectly, at least at the beginning. And I'm going to do that by giving you the anatomy of an affirmation, according to me. Okay, because I am very, very good at wordsmithing. I'm really good at taking a concept and then shifting around the words to get an affirmation. And I have, over the years, manifested some pretty amazing things. Okay, I have this knack for taking concepts that I want and then repeating affirmations around them and visualizing, not making vision boards, okay, but like visualizing and feeling into it. So I really have leaned into this whole affirmation thing, and I have a 4-part thing that I'm going to share today that has worked for me. And I think that it is a really good starting point to map out the creation that you want to do, right? You always need a starting point. and you need to be doing things in a reasonable manner. I'm not telling you to like tamp down your dreams. Absolutely not. But if you want to begin the process of rewiring your brain, totally possible, right? Scientifically proven, then you need to do it in a way that is not going to make you feel like it's unbelievable. You need to do it in a way that is sustainable, and you need to be consistent with it. And you need to do it correctly because words matter, right? We all know that. We like to think that, words don't hurt us, and when we talk and put things out into the universe, it doesn't matter. I have been very guilty of thinking this, but it's not true, right? As humans, our manifestation comes from our throat centers. It is like the portal from the inner world into the outer world. So saying things out loud in a very intentional way can make magic happen, period. Or science. You can say it makes science happen. So let's dive into the anatomy of an affirmation, okay? So the number one rule or first thing that we need to do when we are looking at the affirmation is we need to know what we want. Not what we don't want, but what we want. So you have to look at forming your affirmational phrase in terms of outcome. Okay, so we can't go around saying, I want zero debt, because our brain only hears the word debt. And therefore our inner monologue is saying, oh, debt, 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 debt. Bring in more debt because I must want debt. We as humans, we cannot, our brains do not understand those negative words like not or can't or won't. They don't process those. They process your main phrases, okay? So you can't say, I don't want debt, because your brain only hears debt, 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 right? I don't want narcissistic people around me. No, all your brain hears is narcissism, narcissism, narcissism. So we have to decide what we actually want and what we do not want. So it's very important that if you want to find the love of your life, you are putting those phrases out there. I want a loving companion. I want a supportive partner. I want endless pleasure. Whatever it is, you need to have these words and phrases that your brain will latch onto that are high vibrational. Makes sense, right? So first things first is know what you want, not what you don't want. You have to know what you want. Okay, so don't start there. It's always good to start there. If you don't want any more debt in your life, then think of a word that feels good for you and resonates inside of you that is what wealth is, or abundance, right? Maybe abundance or wealth feels like a inauthentic word for you. Make it simple. Make I want success. I want ease. I want let's see, what's a good abundance word? I want lots. Okay, make it something that your mind is and your body is like, ooh, that feels really good inside. Find a word that works for you. This is when your handy thesaurus that maybe you have been carrying around for the last 10 years will come in handy. Or, just hop online and ask the AI chatbot what a good synonym is for abundance or wealth or whatever it is that you're wanting, okay? But you have to know what you want, not what you do not want. That's always one of the biggest hiccups with affirmations, right? Okay, number 2 in our anatomy is you have to do this in I statements or me or my, okay? The fact is that We only have control over ourselves and our vibration and our own destiny. So we can't go manifesting things for everyone around us. I want that person to like me. I want that job to fulfill me completely. I want my kids to do the dishes correctly. You can't do that. You can't manifest for other people. You have to do it in ways that are for you only, because you can only control your vibration. You can only control your frequency. You can only control your energy. So you have to focus all of this inward. Okay. So there are some key words that um, you need to avoid: we, they, them, us. Okay, you need to keep your affirmations solo. This is a solo endeavor. You are only reprogramming your brain, so keep it like that. All right. That is number 2. Number 3 is the 10% rule. Now, I read this in the book. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I read this in the book, The Orchid, which is a really fantastic novel about 4 women who are going on this journey of up-leveling and changing their mindset and all these super fun things. I did an interview with the authors. I'm going to drop that link here. And one of the things that really stood out in this book to me, which I guess maybe I've heard it before, but it clicked, right? That's how these things are. They spiral back around until you're truly, truly ready to hear them. And so the thing that clicked with me there was they called it the 10% rule. Now, when you are making affirmations, it is very common for us to be very wild with our dreams and desires, right? We want to think, I want to be a millionaire. I want to live on a yacht. I want to be a world traveler. And I think that is all well and good. But if you don't get that in a super fast time, we tend to get very discouraged. Why am I not traveling the world yet? Why have I not found the perfect person to let me live on their yacht for the next year? It's just human nature, right? We are trained at a very young age to look for those instances in our life where we are not getting what we want, and then we stop believing that it's even a possibility. So we have to build our affirmations within 10% of where we are. Don't let go of those big dreams of traveling the world, being a digital content creator, and having a million or 2 followers on whatever as they watch you hop around Bali living it up. No, don't don't squash those dreams. If that's what you want, then you can absolutely manifest that if that feels right to you. But if you do not currently have an Instagram account that, shows you traveling around, it's going to be a little bit hard to pull in such a big dream immediately, which will therefore give your ego something to say, see, you can't really do that. So maybe you should dream smaller, or maybe you should just continue with your day-to-day job. That is absolutely not what we want, okay? We want to reach for the stars, but before we can reach for the stars, we kind of have to see what's going on in our valley around us, right? We need to see what is achievable in this moment, which is where we come up with the 10% rule. Now, when they were talking about this 10% rule, I thought, oh my gosh, this is so brilliant, because it is completely achievable, right? So if you have an Instagram account, I will give you mine. I just started a new Instagram account. I got rid of the old one. Sticky energy, super it wasn't doing anything, right? Like, energetically, it was kind of dead. Instagram was like, mm-mm, there's nothing going on here. So I said, okay, I'm going to start from scratch. And right now I have a very low follower count. So if I was wanting to manifest a bigger following count, I'm going to take what I have and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to manifest 10% greater than where I am. And I'm going to start building from there because in my mind, that's completely achievable, right? I can absolutely gain 2 to 4 followers because it's very low in a very quick amount of time because my brain's like, well, that's no big deal. That's just 2 or 3 people. If I post it consistently, surely 2 or 3 people are going to come in. And so my brain says, okay, great. So we're going to increase our Instagram following by 10%. Let's go. And so I can come up with some kind of affirmation that my brain is going to think is like, oh yeah, that's totally believable. That's totally achievable. Let's go. And so I form my affirmation around that 10%, and then things start happening and I pull it in, right? So think of where you are and think of what 10% more would be like. It feels like maybe a defeatist type of attitude, but it's absolutely not, right? Because the thing is that throws really people off with this whole attracting and manifestation stuff is that they think, well, it's not coming to me right now, so this must not work. And then they blow it off and then they just continue on with their lives, you know, not being very satisfied because, well, that didn't work because it didn't work immediately. Like, no, that's not how it works. The universe is a very, very, very like intricate tapestry that is consistently weaving throughout our lives. And it's sometimes these manifestations, they come in at the weirdest times. And so we have to be patient, we have to detach from the outcome, and we have to stay open. And we don't want to get discouraged because things aren't coming in immediately. In fact, I'm going to give you an example right now. All right. When I was in college, I was a mass communication major. This is like a very lame degree. Now it's like one of the top degrees that they say is completely useless. Perhaps I'm podcasting, so maybe it worked. I don't know. But when I was in college, I loved movies. I still love movies, but I wanted to work in film. And one of the things I really thought I wanted to do in film was editing. And for some reason, I thought that it was too far out of my reach. It was too difficult. I was living in the Midwest. That was completely unachievable. But in my brain, I was like, oh yeah, I can totally see me editing film. Okay, well, look at me now. It's 20 some years later, and I'm literally editing video every single week. I had no idea. This is a manifestation that came to fruition like maybe a year ago, and I had no idea. I had completely forgotten about it. So don't discount these things. I told you about my Stargate pinball machine a couple of episodes ago. I'll link that about how that was a 20-year manifestation in the just waiting to come in for me. So don't ever dismiss these dreams. Don't think that they are completely unachievable and bonkers. They might be coming in, but it just requires you to be at that vibrational match. So in order to get you at that vibrational match, you have to slowly start building up your vibration. And the way to do that is via affirmations. Okay, so love them or hate them, they are very, very powerful, and they are becoming more scientifically proven to be powerful. So I was a tangent. 10% rule, okay? That's 3. Think of where you are. Think of where you want to be, where you want, and then start back and say, okay, what's 10%? And then just keep working it up. Okay, this is how magic happens because time's going to pass anyway, so you might as well try it, right? The 4th and final anatomy of the affirmation list is make your affirmation easy. Okay, this is something that tripped me up. I would come up with these very elaborate affirmations that I would say, okay, I want this and this and this and this. And I tell you what, I don't have a terrible memory, but I made them so complex that I could not memorize them. Make them easy. Make them easy so that you can repeat them 10 times and then boom, like they are in your back pocket all the time. If you are sitting at a red light, letting your mind wander, say your affirmation 10 times. You can only do that if they are easy to remember. Do not be making complicated affirmations because then you won't say them, because then you won't remember them, and then you'll forget about them. So do something easy and then write it down 5 to 10 times so that it's ingrained in your brain and just go from there. And there are some affirmations along the way that people have come up with that are going to stick with you forever. For instance, I took a course from Manifestation Babe maybe, like 7 years ago. And one of the affirmations that she taught in her class, I still use to this day. Success is inevitable, and I am always on the right path. It flows so easy. For me, is a perfect affirmation, and it reminds me that I am absolutely on the right track, and I need to detach from the outcome and just let it flow in. Simple, precise, but also encompasses everything I want, which is overall success, right? Sometimes it is really that easy. Now, you might have to go in and define what success actually looks like to you because perhaps you have some conditioned beliefs around what success actually looks like. But that's a whole other topic for a whole other day. Today, we're talking about affirmations and the anatomy of affirmations. So let's do a quick recap. 1, you need to know what you want. You can know what you don't want, but make sure that you know what you actually want. 2, use I, me, or my statements. Can't manifest for other people. 3, use your 10% rule and start from there so that your brain can absolutely believe what is happening and can actually pull it in and doesn't get sidetracked by not happening fast enough. And 4, make it easy. Make your affirmation easy so that you can repeat it while you are falling asleep at night. All right? Try those. Let me know how it works and catch you guys next time.